The Angel's Fury, or 11th Company, are an ancient and revered crusade force formed by Chapter Master Alderon shortly after the conclusion of the Horus Heresy, but before the reformations of the Codex Astartes. However, an exact date is not known. This highly skilled strike force serves a singular purpose, that is to seek out and destroy the taint of chaos wherever it may lie, as it is believed by these sons of Sanguinius that only through the galaxy-wide destruction of the ruinous powers can the death of their beloved great angel truly be avenged. However, in the absence of a chaos presence, the Angel's Fury are known to aid in other conflicts until a chaos threat emerges. For this reason, it is not uncommon to see the Angel's Fury engaging in battle against one or more of the many Xenos races whom dare to threaten the realm of man. Throughout the millennia, the Angel's Fury have accumulated an extensive service record of warfare and conflict, achieving countless triumphs against the great many enemies of mankind. Records of these victories can be found within the Hall of Heroes aboard the company's flagship, the Crimson Wrath, a museum of the company's distinguished achievements and the war trophies earned throughout the eras. And nevertheless, outside of the Blood Angels and their successors, the Angel's Fury are all but unknown to virtually all others within the Imperium, for it was deemed many millennia ago by a council of chapter masters amongst the Angels and their successors that the existence of this elite force, which does not adhere to the Codex Astartes and whom are renowned for their fierce brutality and blood fury, would be best left outside of Imperial judgment. For this reason, no record of the 11th Company, its warriors, or its triumphs can be found anywhere outside of the Hall of Heroes aboard the Crimson Wrath, bar a single volume of tomes known as the Fury Opus, which is kept within the Sanctum Relic Vaults of Baal, known as the Sangre Reliquaries. Recent times. Following their involvement in the Shield of Baal campaign designed to slow down the inevitable assault of Hive Fleet Leviathan on Baal, the Angel's Fury accompanied Lord Commander Dante back to the chapter's homeworld to form the Angel's final defense against the Great Devourer. The Tyranids soon launched themselves at Baal itself. The first 19 waves, each larger than the last, were driven off at great loss to the Sons of Sanguinius, with 5 chapter masters falling in battle. 3 of these were in the battle at the Dome of Angels alone. The Tyranids began the process of draining Baal and her moons, absorbing even the rat-poisoned desert of Baal Secundus. With the defenses smashed and a great many brothers slain, the defenders retreated to the Blood Angels' fortress monastery to make their final stand. Once again, Aegis stood at the side of his lord and old friend Commander Dante. However, this time it seemed as though it would be his last, and both would surely fall this day. It was then that the Great Rift formed across the greater galaxy, and the Baal system was overcome by the powers of the warp, and as all seemed lost, the fleet of the Indomitus Crusade arrived, led by the reborn Robute Gilliman himself, who joined the battle for Baal to aid their besieged brethren. After a great many more battles across the system, and at great loss to the Angel's Fury and their allies, Baal was finally liberated, and Hive Fleet Leviathan was largely destroyed, though it is a mystery as what exactly happened to many of the Hive Fleet's number. A clue lies on the now barren Baal Prime, where the symbol of Kabanda was formed with the skulls of dead Tyranid organisms. Having stayed at Baal long enough to replenish their number and take part in the rebuilding of their beloved Red Planet, the Angel's Fury were tasked by Commander Dante to investigate the signs left on Baal Secundus, which were linked to the vision of Mephisto and indicated that the great enemy Kabanda may soon return. The Angel's Fury fleet set out at once across the galaxy with renewed strength and a sacred duty to uphold. However, in 412 M42, the Angel's Fury are ambushed by the Butcher Horde warband, the Sons of Slaughter, whilst travelling through the Calixis system. The ensuing cosmic battle raged for many hours and saw the tide of battle shift in favour of both sides on several occasions. However, as the battle progressed, the advanced weaponry and adamantium armor of the Crimson Wrath slowly outclassed the Cornate vessel, and after the Crimson Wrath's Jovian pattern Nova Cannon sundered the strike cruiser Bloodseeker in two, the heretics called a retreat and disappeared back towards the Eye of Terror. An Angel's Quintumvirate was soon called to discuss the fleet's next course of action. After many hours, Praetor Aegis emerged from the council chamber with a look of iron-willed determination. Set a course for the Eye of Terror. No deception of the corrupt powers will prevent us from achieving our mission. All who stand in our way will perish at the hands of vengeance. And with that, the Angel's Fury fleet disappeared with a singular purpose in mind: to enter the Eye of Terror itself and smite down any corruption who stands between the Angels' best and their vengeance over the great nemesis Carbon Dar. Over 100 years have passed, and the Angel's Fury is yet to be seen, leaving the fate of all under Aegis' command to remain unknown. However, this is not the first time the Angel's Fury have ventured into the Eye of Terror, as in 516 M41, Aegis led his forces on their 12th Crusade of Reckoning and returned victorious. Therefore, hope yet remains for the fate of the 11th. Angel's Fury Command. Due to the time of its formation, the Angel's Fury still honor many of the now lost ranks and traditions abolished since the implementation of the Codex Astartes. However, despite being an independent fighting force, the Angel's Fury are still recognized as a company, the 11th, of the founding Blood Angels chapter. As such, ultimate leadership lies with the Lord of Baal and Chapter Master of the Blood Angels, Commander Dante. However, leadership of the Angel's Fury falls under the charge of a company praetor, whom is supported by a war council known as the Angel's Quintumvirate, made up of the 5 company commanders: the Reclusiarch, Warsmith, Archpriest, Primus Librarian, and Fleet Master. However, over the millennia, this war council has been unofficially expanded to include the Herald of the Fury Guardians, whom holds the honor of Trusted Advisor. To represent the great sacrifice made by Sanguinius, each of the 5 founding Virate members carries one of the 5 relic combat knives, known as the Blades of Sacrifice. Recruitment and Training. Unlike most Space Marine forces in service to the Emperor, the Angel's Fury do not rely on the standard practices of Space Marine selection. Instead, this specialist Crusade force recruits those of already exceptional prowess from within the existing Blood Angels and successor chapters. A tradition which has been honored by all but the Lamenters since the Edicts of Raldoron were first issued during the 11th Company's inception. For those chosen, it is seen as an unrivaled honor to join the forces of the Angel's Fury, as there is no greater glory than to smite down chaos in the name of vengeance for the loss of their Primarch. However, only the very greatest warriors of Sanguinius are chosen for this sacred duty, as a Marine must be deemed as truly exceptional if he is to be considered worthy. Upon leaving their chapter, each of the chosen severs all ties with their former brothers and must undergo new training of unparalleled demand and intensity, known as the Descent of Angels. This training is far beyond that of a standard Marine, and is to ensure each warrior is indeed worth the honor of being one of the great angels chosen, a title which must be earned through blood and sacrifice. This training transforms those successful into the most highly skilled and devastating warriors the Blood Angels can muster. Upon completion of these trials, the chosen must undergo the ritual of the Rage Blood, in which they take the oath of vengeance. An ancient tradition which sees the new Angel's Fury Marine repaint their armor in the company's colors and swear a blood oath to the battle doctrine of purity. From this day forward, the warrior is recognized as a legionnaire of the Angel's Fury and must dedicate all that he has to seeking vengeance for the death of their beloved Primarch at the hands of chaos and corruption. Only after many years of service and the achievement of a great many triumphs and acts of heroism can Legionnaire be promoted to the rank of the Angels Chosen and join the Fury Guardians, a highly distinguished rank which identifies the Legionnaire as a true hero who continually upholds the virtues and valor of the 11th Company's doctrine. These elite warriors serve as the Praetor's personal honor guard both on and off the battlefield. They can also be appointed to guard battlefield commanders when not guarding the Company Praetor. Battle Doctrine. For vengeance, for fury, for Sanguinius. Battle cry of the Angel's Fury. The Blood Angels are all but peerless in their mastery of chosen combat assault, but none have perfected this art more than the Angel's Fury, whom employ devastating tactics of lightning-fast warfare and savage close combat assaults. Often being delivered into battle via Storm Raven or Drop Pod to land amongst their enemies' number, many of which rapidly come to understand the devastating brutality and violence utilized by this elite angel force. However, unlike their kinsmen, the Angel's Fury do not see the Red Thirst or Black Rage as a flaw of their gene seed. Instead, they believe it to be a gift from Sanguinius himself, which empowers those chosen beyond the capabilities of a standard legionnaire to new heights of martial prowess and destructive fury, which, if mastered, becomes the greatest weapon an angel can wield against his foe. Therefore, the battle doctrine of the Angel's Fury aims to utilize the blessed few to strike at the very heart of the enemy and annihilate them entirely before they are able to muster a defense. Additionally, the 11th Praetor, or one of the leaders of the Four Blades, may invoke their sacred right to call all to arms to serve in a Crusade of Reckoning, a now ancient tradition dating back to the Angel's Fury inception, which sees all amongst the Angel's Fury whom are able to join forces to undertake a singular campaign against one of the many enemies of mankind. Currently, there have been 14 Crusades called since the end of the Horus Heresy. Company organization. Despite being recognized as the 11th company of the Blood Angels chapter, the Angel's Fury are substantially larger in number than a standard Astartes company of 100 Marines. As the formation of the Angel's Fury predates the Codex Reformations, which took place after the Horus Heresy, the Angel's Fury company is the same size as the pre-heresy companies used by each of the Space Marine legions, as set out by the Emperor himself. Therefore, it is believed that the Angel's Fury consists of around 500 legionnaires whom have all sworn allegiance to the company praetor and the blood oath of vengeance against chaos. Following this ancient organizational structure, the Angel's Fury force is divided into 4 maniples of 120 legionnaires known as the Blades. Each blade is under the command of one of the 4 War Masters of the Angel's Quintumvirate, who are in turn supported by 2 Legatus, each of which leads a 60 legionnaire-strong force known as a cohort. Each cohort is then divided into 6 10-man units, which are led by the Squad Centurion. In addition to 4 blades, 20 of the most highly skilled and exceptional warriors are chosen from within the ranks of the Angel's Fury, whom are given the honorary title of Angels Chosen. These prodigious legionnaires form a veteran honor guard, known as the Fury Guardians, whom serve no man except the Praetor himself, and are the embodiment of everything the perfect Blood Angel's warrior should be. The leader of this unit, the Herald of Guardians, holds an honored position amongst his brothers and is seen by many as equal to the 4 war commanders of the Angel's Quintumvirate. Over the millennia, these heralds have often served as a shadow member of the Quintumvirate and are highly respected and honored by all. The current herald is a mighty golden Leviathan dreadnought known as Paladin, although his true identity is known by none but a chosen few. Company colors. The Angel's Fury Company wear dark blood red power armor with shoulder plates of black, with a golden trim and helms of varying color to distinguish rank or discipline. The company's insignia can be found on the right shoulder plate and is a golden-winged Laconia Lombarda, which sits on a background of black and represents the blood oath taken by each new initiate when they join this elite strike force. Additionally, each legionnaire's helm varies in color depending on their rank and discipline with the Angel's Fury. The Death Company of the Angel's Fury still don their black armor as a symbol of their age. Angel's Fleet. The Angel's Fury are a crusader force and as such do not have a homeworld or static fortress. Instead, they rely on their war fleet of ancient vessels which have been eternally scouring the galaxy for chaos since the company's founding in the 31st millennia. Under the command of Fleet Master Kalis, the Angel's Fury fleet have seen a great many wars and conflicts over the centuries. he is as old as he is wise, and second to none in the art of spaceborne warfare. His mastery of the Crimson Wrath and Void Stratagem has seen the 11th Company to victory many a time, and as such, he is regarded as one of the greatest fleet commanders within any Astartes chapter. The Angel's fleet consists of 3 primary starships. The Crimson Wrath, a unique Gloriana-class battleship created from the remains of the Red Tier at the end of the Horus Heresy. It currently serves as the flagship for the Angel's Fury and command ship of Praetor Aegis. Fleetmaster Kalis. The Blood of Vengeance, a Blood Angel strike cruiser which has been used by the Angel's Fury for almost 6 millennia. Cruisermaster Helios. The Angel's Retribution, a Blood Angel strike cruiser which also has been used by the Angel's Fury for almost 6 millennia. Master Boreas. The Crimson Wrath. Creation. The Crimson Wrath is an enormous ancient battleship of unique design which predates all but a few ships in service to the Imperium today. This monstrous vessel has served as the flagship of the Angel's Fury since its construction at the conclusion of the Great Heresy and is considered a true legacy and relic of the Blood Angels and their successors. Its construction was first decreed by Chapter Master Alderon at the end of the Horus Heresy, shortly after his appointment as Chapter Master of the Blood Angels Legion. Raldoran ordered that Sanguinius's flagship, the Red Tier, be restored to its former glory after the conclusion of the Horus Heresy. Unfortunately, the combined efforts of the greatest tech minds of Mars, the Imperial Fleet, and the Blood Angels' own tech marines could not undo the catastrophic damage this battleship suffered. However, an alternative plan was put forward which would see many of the still functioning systems and components of the Red Tier be utilized in the creation of a brand new vessel of entirely unique design and capability. It was from this reutilization of technology from the former flagship of the Great Angel that the Crimson Wrath was born. Due to the manner of its creation, the Crimson Wrath is a starship like no other. During its construction, many designs and influences were taken from other notable Imperial vessels of the time. Moreover, due to the age of this mighty battleship, the Crimson Wrath has been upgraded, expanded, and repaired many times over the millennia, each of which has altered the overall appearance of this starship in one way or another. It can therefore be said that the Crimson Wrath is truly a battleship like no other in both appearance and design. However, despite this, the Crimson Wrath still pays homage to its prior life as the Red Tier, as the resemblance between the two flagships is uncanny. Whereas the original ship was once a gleaming vessel of magnificent and glorious gold, the Crimson Wrath now pierces the blackness of space with its blood-red hull, one which has struck fear into the heart of many who have been foolish enough to oppose the Angel's Fury over the millennia. The current upgraded design of the Crimson Wrath has been perfected over the many centuries it has served the Angel's Fury and has now achieved a state of perfect equilibrium between rapid planetary assault capability and deep space warfare. It is for this reason that the Crimson Wrath is deemed as a true thing of beauty and a relic of legendary regard amongst the descendants of Sanguinius. Size. This mighty vessel is a starship of gigantic proportion, measuring 8 kilometers from stem to stem. Although this is somewhat smaller than its parent vessel, many of the original weapons and capabilities of Sanguinius's flagship have been successfully maintained. It takes a force of nearly 7,000 specifically trained blood thralls to maintain and operate the ship. However, as an enhancement of the original starship, the Crimson Wrath's unique design encompasses a wide array of launch pads and orbital bombardment weapons to accommodate for the needs of an Astartes vessel in the 41st millennium, whose ultimate and most devastating weapon will always be its marines. Though undergoing this alteration, the Crimson Wrath has managed to maintain all its predecessors' devastating weaponry, whilst also gaining modern technologies that have enhanced the ship's ability to launch devastating planet-side assaults and orbital bombardments pre-siege. Weaponry and defenses. this mighty vessel sports a wide range of devastating weapon systems which have rendered even the most powerful of foes to ruin in mere moments. Most notably, these weapons were brought to bear against the armada of Abaddon the Despoiler at the close of the Seventh Black Crusade and led to the destruction of a great many of his ships as he fled into the warp. Jovian pattern Nova Cannon, Styges pattern macro cannons, orbital bombardment cannons, cyclonic torpedoes, and normal torpedoes. Void and Gala shields to protect the vessel both during transit through the warp and in ship-to-ship combat. Praetor Aegis, Lord of Fury. War gear. The Angel's Presidium, an ancient set of expertly crafted artificer armor, iron halo, and jump pack which provides the wearer with immense protection against even the most powerful of strikes. This armor has been passed down to each new successor within the Angel's Fury since its formation, and it's said to have been crafted by Lord Sanguinius during the early days of the Great Crusade as a prototype to be used by the Sanguinary Guard. Unfortunately, his death upon Terra meant that this never came to pass, and the knowledge of how to craft this armor was lost. Demon's Bane. An ancient relic sword, first wielded by Chapter Master Alderon and gifted to the first Praetor of the Angel's Fury during their founding. A strange war power imbues this weapon with a mysterious shimmering light which, legend has it, captures the soul of any chaos foe it vanquishes and destroys their existence so that they may never return. Death Mask of the Fury Lord. This death mask invokes fear in all who oppose the Lord of Fury, granting Praetor Aegis with a terrifying presence on the battlefield and a burning gaze of terror. Hellfire Gauntlet. This master-crafted Inferno Gauntlet was gifted to Praetor Aegis by Dante upon his ascension to Praetor of the Angel's Fury. Legend has it that this masterpiece of craftsmanship was given to Sanguinius during the Great Crusade by his brother Primarch Vulcan as a token of loyalty and friendship. History. Aegis has served as a praetor to the Angel's Fury for over 500 years, during which time the elite force of the Angel's Fury has achieved some of its greatest victories against both Chaos and Xenusfu alike. Moreover, during this time, the 11th have gained a fierce reputation for their unbreakable devotion to achieving victory at any cost and the rage-inducted brutality they willingly employ to secure it. This reputation strikes fear and panic into the hearts of many a foe who soon comes to learn that it is well earned, as the Angel's Fury truly are a devastating force to be reckoned with. No Astartes amongst the Angel's Fury personifies this reputation more than Aegis himself, who over time has earned the title of the Lord of Fury. His presence on the battlefield inspires those under his command to acts of valor and heroism far beyond that of a regular space marine. Moreover, it has even been said that his presence triggers the red thirst in many of his warriors and is the reason for their ferocity and rage upon the battlefield. Praetor Aegis is a true hero of the Blood Angels chapter and an exceptional leader of his company. His prowess with both blade and pistol is legendary amongst the chapter and has led to the death of a great many Chaos Lords and demons who have stood against him. Moreover, this unbreakable honor and commitment to achieving vengeance in the name of Sanguinius has seen him lead the Angel's Fury into the very eye of Terra itself to exact this revenge. As a leader, Aegis is utterly fearless, and as such inspires those around him to acts of extreme valor. He is renowned for his strategic genius and understanding of warfare, and has developed a reputation for his devastating ambushes, lightning-fast assaults, and ferocious tactics. He is renowned for leading from the front, and can usually be found where the battle is fiercest, diving from the skies to exact revenge on the enemies of mankind with his relic great sword, the Demon's Bane, and Hellfire Gauntlet of Inferno. Prior to becoming Praetor of the Angel's Fury, Aegis served as Exalted Herald of the Sanguinary God, sworn to protect Chapter Master Dante at all times. Over his 200 years of service as herald, Aegis developed a close bond of loyalty and friendship with the chapter master and other lords of Baal, and before long was considered as the potential successor to Dante. During this time, Aegis witnessed a great many conclaves and war councils in the fortress monastery of Baal and took part in a great many campaigns at the side of his liege lord. It is believed that this experience is what led to Aegis becoming the great warrior and outstanding leader he is today, as the tutelage of Dante himself would transform any man into an inspiring leader and fierce fighter. On occasion, when the matter of hand was of the utmost importance, Aegis would also act as emissary for the Blood Angels and the voice of his commander when required. It was during one such occasion, 500 years ago, that Aegis was sent to speak with Praetor Leonid, the then commander of the Angels' Fury. During this assembly aboard the Crimson Fury, a vast chaos warband, known as the Emperor's Curse, led by Abaddon's chosen apostle, Ryzak, laid siege to the Angels' Fury flagship. The deceptive speed of the Chaos Strike soon overwhelmed the Crimson Wrath's main void shields, and the flagship was boarded by a great host of demons and traitor marines alike. A great many of the enemy were slain during the battle for command of the starship, with each corridor, room, and passageway littered with countless dead and dying. However, the sheer vastness of enemy numbers meant that for every one that fell, 3 took his place. It was not long before attrition took its toll on the 11th Company, resulting in the loss of their ship inch by inch. After nearly 3 days of vicious combat, only the Crimson Wrath's command deck was held by the Angels' Fury, but all knew it was only a matter of time before this too would be consumed and then the ship would be lost to chaos. Soon Praetor Leonid, 3 of his 5 quintumvirate, and Aegis stood alone to defend the final defensive position of the great relic ship, each ready to die in the name of Sanguinius and the Emperor, for the honor of their chapter. The doors to the command deck first bent, then crumpled before the weight of a Chaos Terminator's charge, which was immediately followed by a surge of assailants. A fierce fight for survival broke out amongst the various consoles and display units, with each son of Sanguinius fighting with every ounce of his might to ensure that if Chaos wanted this ship, it would pay dearly for it. It took nearly 7 hours from the initial strike for Primus Cerberon and his blade to return aboard the Angel's Retribution to aid in the defense of his company and their prized vessel, and a further 2 hours to fight their way towards the command deck, during which time Cerberon felt the slow creeping of dread that all his brethren had been slain. However, upon arriving at the entrance to the command deck, Cerberon saw 2 lone shadows amidst the countless dead, with one standing in the doorway with his sword held in a combat pose, the other kneeling before a slain brother. As Cerberon entered the room, he saw a lifeless body of Praetor Leonid, with Reclusiarch Rameus kneeling at his side as though taking a moment to mourn. Warsmith Demetrios and Archpriest Apollos also lay amongst the dead. After bowing his head only for a moment to mourn the loss of his leader, Cerberon turned his attention to the Golden Warrior in the armor of a sanguinary god. Aegis, Rameus, the ship is ours once more. The rest of my force are securing the lower levels now, but soon the infestation shall be no more. Today is a dark day for our company, but thank God for you two, or the ship would have fallen to chaos. I fought hard, Cerberon, that is true, but I was struck from behind during the battle for this deck, and fell unconscious for some time. If it was not for Aegis, all would have been lost, as he stood alone when all others had fallen, to defend the body of our praetor, and the command of the ship. Then I owe you a debt, Herald, as it seems that without your intervention, the Crimson Wrath would be ours no more. What of the traitor scum Ryzak? Did he fall? No, he did not. When he realized you had arrived, he fled back to his ship, and ran like the coward he is. Well, not all of them. Cerberon looked over at the Herald, and for the first time noticed in his right hand he held the severed arm of the Chaos Apostle, still dripping with corrupted blood at the shoulder where it had been severed. news soon reached Dante of the death of Praetor Leonid and of the unanimous decision made by Ramius and Cerberon as to who would replace him. Although Dante felt sorrow at the loss of his close friend and loyal subject, he knew that the ancient laws of succession within the Angel's Fury could not be contested, and there was nothing he could do to keep his friend close. It took nearly 200 years for the Angel's Fury to recover from the terrible losses of that day, but as soon as the 11th were whole once again, Aegis called the 9th Crusade of Reckoning, now known as the Wrath of Angels, in which Aegis led the entire Angel's Fury fleet on a campaign into the very Eye of Terror itself, with a single objective in mind: to track down Ryzek and his Emperor's Curse warband and see them destroyed to a man. It was not long before the Angel's Fury were presumed dead and honored as a fallen company. Nearly 60 years passed before the Crimson Wrath re-emerged from the warp with a great many battle scars and trophies. Accounts attest to the Angel's Fury waging a great war against Chaos Legions on the demon world of Kratos, during which time the traitor Ryzek and his warband of filth were utterly annihilated. To this day, the banner of his exterminated horde can be found in the Hall of Heroes alongside his severed skeletal arm, aboard the Crimson Wrath, as a reminder of this great triumph achieved and the vengeance gained in the name of Leonid and his fallen brethren.